The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDunes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 582, Mr. Somich.
Big old Fountain of Youth. Huzzah! They ever find that thing? That thing's still missing?
It's never been discovered.
Oh, man.
I know.
Just a
Keep
mess.
looking for it out there.
Someone needs to find that.
Oh, this is going to be a fun sequence. I'm excited about this. It's a 14 race card, first of all. So huge day at Gulfstream Park. It's 9 graded stakes races. This late pick 5, all graded stakes. 3 of the 5 are going to be on turf, and we're going to have good weather. So very excited to play this sequence. A lot of horses that we've seen already at Gulfstream during the championship meet. And you wonder, can the horses that did well repeat against new faces? Can the ones that struggled get better trips or be better second off the layoff? And then, of course, in the Fountain of Youth, Kentucky Derby points on the line. And Bill Mott's highly regarded Sovereignty is making his long-awaited return to the races, but he's not going to have the easiest of times, I don't think, in that race. So plenty to look forward to on the show.
No, very, very difficult race. And then you also have like 2 races that are not stakes races, but are just absolutely phenomenal maiden special weights. The fillies go in race number 1. And then you've got race later in the card for the boys. I think it's like race 6, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's race 6. And that includes the return of a $1.15 million horse Disruptor who'll be breaking from the outside and may very well be Florida Derby bound off of that maiden special weight as well. So top to bottom, just an absolutely phenomenal card from Gulfstream.
There's even, I don't think it's run yet, the second to last race at Gulfstream today it was a 9 furlong optional claimer that, 2 of them in there that Brian Lynch has. That he said if either one of them runs well or wins, they're going to go off to the Florida Derby. So watch out for that one. Solid Left is going to run today. He's not running the Fountain of Youth. McKellen was cross-entered in both. Jose D'Angelo just said, screw it, we're going to go to the Fountain of Youth instead with him. So, it's definitely Derby fever time down there in South Florida.
Yep. This is the fun part of this meet. Once you get past like the Mucho Macho Man, one of my least favorite preps. Like I love Gulfstream Park because they prep, but man, it always is just a not good race. Like the only saving grace is way back when we hit a nice little pick 4 on Mucho Macho Man Day, probably like 5 years ago, right when this show started, something crazy like that. But yeah, not the best prep there. But now that we're getting into the Fountain of Youth part, you get phenomenal undercard races. You didn't even mention this. We had 2 mile and 3/16 races on the turf as well in this sequence. So you got a little funky turf racing that's going to be happening there. And it's going to be an absolute blast to watch. Gulfstream race 8, Ed's asking if we're going to take a break. It's about 25 minutes away, somewhere right in there. So we'll be able to give some instant reaction on that one if we think anyone's going to the Florida Derby off of it.
I just actually pulled it up as Ed was asking that. I was like, I just need to have this open in a side window here and pay attention. So people in the chats, let us know. I'm not going to be watching it actively, obviously, doing the show, but either Mike or someone else let us know when they're about ready to go. And we can at least stop and take a quick look at it. 7 runners in there. I know 2 for Brian Lynch are both well meant. I liked the 3 Super Times, who's the 4 to 1 third choice in there. So good race.
Super Time's relevant to the race later today, or later tomorrow or Saturday, I should say. The feature in the Fountain of Youth. Super Times ran second to who was it? River Thames last time out.
Yep.
Who is your morning line favorite? And I think going to go off is your pretty heavy favorite in the Fountain of Youth.
Well, let's get into it. We've got the late pick 5 at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, March 1st. That's right, March is already upon us. Let's get into it, buddy. Rise up. It's been a minute since I've made that mistake.
No, not quite in mid-season form yet here, even though we're into the middle part of the prep season.
First leg of the Gulfstream Park late pick 5, Saturday, March 10th. Race number 10 is the grade 3, the very one for 9 older fillies and mares routing mile and 3/8 on the turf. Where'd you go on top in this 3-turn event?
I really like a price here, but didn't put the price on top. Give me the rail horse here. Forever After All. Gaffleon, Walsh. Know you love that combo. Two back, I thought this horse ran really well. Going the 1 3/8 distance here at Gulfstream. Ended up just missing in that spot, but the pace was very different than what we're going to see today. Last time out, got up, won by a nose, coming from way back of the pack. Drew the 10 post that day and was hung wide more or less the entire first part of the race, then was able to get to the rail on the second turn, but then had to go 8 wide in the stretch, able to get the nose down in that effort. I think you get a better trip from the inside draw here. So give me the 1 Forever After All on top, Magic.
Same for me. 4 starts going either 11 furlongs today's distance or 12 furlongs, a mile and a half. 1 win in 3 seconds by a nose, a neck, and a length. This horse loves doing 3 turns or really long on the turf. So I'm with you on that one. I didn't go with the price on for my other option here. I just went with the 1 and the 8 La Mahana, and they've been facing each other a couple times. Beat our top pick last time out over this course and distance. Not last time out, but 2 races back. And then lost the rematch going slightly longer last time out. But her win on October 4th in the Grade 3 Weah was really impressive, I thought, because it was a 6-horse field. She spotted them 9 lengths at one point. Glacial New York fractions that you'd expect in a long race on turf. And she still rallied up to get the win. So I thought that she showed her talent there. The draw, obviously, better for Forever After All, but beating Forever After All over course and distance 2 back, as I couldn't really separate them. So I just went 1-8 here.
Yeah, I'd left the 8 off the ticket. I'm just hoping that the difference in post here makes the difference today. I mean, that race last time out, La Menta drew the 4 post and was got a better trip, I thought, significantly better trip than what we saw from the 1 Forever After All. So I tried to beat the 8 because of it, and my price here is the 2, Be My Sunshine, who is a 12-1 or 15-1 morning line for Saffie Joseph Jr. Zayas rides this horse. If you go back and you look in the form when Zayas is ridden, this horse has done very well. 2 wins with Zayas aboard, both at Gulfstream Park back in 2023. And you kind of look over, okay, what's the speed of this race? There is absolutely none. Like, there is no speed at all. And so I wanted to look for someone I thought could be that speed. And Be My Sunshine feels like this is a horse that should be able to get the lead. Are we going to be able to get the distance? We'll see. But from a pace perspective, I think it's clearly going to Be My Sunshine. So on the Gulfstream turf, I will take the speed here with the 2 Be My Sunshine at 15-1.
Yeah, the pace is going to be quite interesting. I pegged her as the one that would also be kind of on the front end there. I know that La Mahana, you look 2 back in the Via Borghese, was close to the pace, but not. They're not going to go that slow. They went for over 50 seconds to the half mile. The 6 has shown speed going shorter, but it's Johnny V. I don't know if he's really going to send her from there. So some question marks here with the other horses pace wise, but I think you're on to something here with the 2 Be My Sunshine. I didn't use her because I didn't think that I've seen enough of her to know what she's kind of capable of, but she's never done 3 turns, and she did a mount of 5/16 at Kentucky Downs, but that's Kentucky Downs.
Yeah, it's different.
Still just kind of 2-ish turns there. But there are horses. There's one we'll talk about later that in the Diarmida, which is the last race on the card, same distance, that there's some horses when they get to that 3-turn setup, they're just better than what they had been otherwise. So not going to use her, but I understand from a pace play why you would absolutely put her on the ticket. We'll move on already to the second leg of the late pick 5, race number 11. Oh, go ahead.
I went 3 Gs, Magic. Just skip it
over.
Sorry,
I thought you said you went too deep. I'm sorry.
No, I went 3 deep. I went with a 5 Beach Bomb as well. And it's funny because Chris just asked, has Motion won a race at Gulfstream Park yet?
One.
And I will be taking the Motion. Yes, he is 1 for 31. So he has gotten off the schneid there. I'm going to take the 5 here, 5-1. This is like, we talk about this all the time. I don't fully trust numbers when the horse doesn't win or runs farther back in the pack. And Beach Bomb got a career best number running 8th in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. So I kind of said, okay, I thought the performance was good, but kind of drew a line through the number perspective. But you go back prior to that, she still fits with the rest of this field. And she has the ability to sit closer early if she wants to. Saya is one of the more aggressive riders. This horse ran very well overseas in South Africa, was able to win stakes races over there, came back over here. I thought ran well on debut. Motion agreed, ends up going to a grade 2, and then ends up in the grade 1 Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Feels like if there's upside for any of these, that is higher than what we have seen, it's the 5 horse. Because we talked about Forever After All, kind of feels like we know what the ceiling is. You talk about La Mahaina, kind of know what the ceiling is. It feels like Beach Bomb could still have a ceiling. And because of that, I wanted to include this horse on the ticket as well.
Yeah, this is. I think of the two, he's got the 5 and the 9 in here, and Syed is the only jockey who's ridden a winner for Grand Motion at the meet. So there's something about that. She won a Grade 1 in South Africa, a couple Grade 1s really in South Africa. Almost beat the boys in her final start there. I can't understand. Can't explain why Motion is in such a slow, icy meet right now at Gulfstream. It's crazy, and it sucks to see because I do genuinely love Grand Motion as a trainer and as a human being. But she definitely could bounce back, and I agree with you about her having the most ceiling. I know that she's technically a 5-year-old to us, but because she's South African bred, she's Southern Hemisphere, so she's still 4. So she still has a few more months of development that she's behind a regular 5-year-old, but room to keep growing, to your point. So there is upside on the 5. Obviously not on the ticket, but it seems to be a talented filly. I think we'll see some big things from her this summer in New York.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what she does, and I agree with you. I think she ends up in New York, not California. We'll see if she takes to this turf course and if she is close enough to make an impact too. Because a little concerned she'll be a ways back, but she was close to the pace going a mile and a quarter in the Rodeo where they went 47-4. So hopefully she's forwardly placed and gets to make a kick late.
She's been well traveled. So Chris Maello, always one of our better commenters, anyways. Says, guess who's on vacation drinking gin and tonics in the Arizona heat and is ready to comment nonsense?
I'm going with Chris Maello.
Has she adjusted to the direction the water goes down toilets in this hemisphere? Yes. Okay. Nothing more to say about that one. By the way, did I say about this? I got a bottle of Irish gin, but it's gunpowder gin. Did I tell you about this? I won the
No, you didn't.
party. I still haven't tried it. I bought a bottle of tonic water, but I'm a little scared to drink it. So Chris, I do love gin and tonics. I've never had gunpowder tonic before. It's got like tea, like Oriental tea mixed in with it. It's crazy. But Chris, let me know what kind of gin you're drinking because I do like gin. Are you a gin and tonic drinker? It's got to be a special occasion for me, but.
I had a straight gin phase for a while. I've had a straight pretty much every alcohol phase for a while. And gin was up there, like aviation gin. I drink a lot of. So I got into that for a while. And then like you can get the different infused gins, which I think are very good. There's one that's purple. It's like a light violet purple color. I can't remember the name of it, but that was phenomenal as well. But yeah, I had a gin phase when I was in Raleigh, and I don't know if we'll go back to it, man. I'm not sure I'm going to go back to the gin thing.
It's my favorite thing to drink at like a wedding, a formal occasion. I just feel classy drinking a gin and tonic. Get the little lime wedge in there. And Aviation Gin, formerly Ryan Reynolds, he became co-owner. 2 years after he became co-owner, they sold for $610 million.
Must be nice. I had a Tom Collins phase. You ever get into Tom Collins?
No.
Yeah, just try one time. They're pretty good. Yeah.
Bombay Sapphire. Good choice.
Yeah, Bombay's good.
Pinky out with the gin and tonic? Absolutely. Yeah. It's a good warm weather drink because it catches up to you and you don't see it coming. Let's move on to the second leg here of the late pick 5. It's the Gulfstream Park mile, race 11 on the card. 9 older males going the long 1-turn mile on the dirt at Gulfstream, and all eyes are going to be on the rail horse Mindframe, who's, as a 3-year-old, this horse was talented, but man, you go bald pulling your hair out with how he ran in a couple of those big Grade 1 races behind Dornoch. The rail draw is not ideal for him, obviously coming off of the long break, but a talented horse. Will you take him at a short price?
I will, because when I look through the rest of this field, I'm not impressed. Like I get like maybe you like Steel Sunshine here, who should have some pace to chase. You've got a couple horses to the outside of Mindframe who are going to show pace. I just like go back to thinking Mindframe's a better 1-turn horse. And like I realized ran very well going 2 turns multiple times, was goofy as all get out in the stretch both of those times. To me, it feels like because the horse didn't want the distance, right? The 1.25 mile at Belmont, I thought ran phenomenal, but again, just kind of gave it up. And then 1.1 1/8 in the Haskell, just kind of, again, should have beat Dornoch in both those spots. Did not win either of them. I think this mile distance is a pretty good one for Mindframe. I think it's the reason why we're coming back at 1 turn here. I don't think it's too aggressive. And like again, I look through this. It's like, who am I going to take? Encino? Am I going to take Steel Sunshine? Like, do I think someone else can step up? The answer for me was no. I understand if you want to take a shot against Mindframe, because we talk about this all the time, where it's like, hey, the first time out is the chance. If this was an allowance race, I would probably try and beat Mindframe. But because we're coming back in a graded stakes, I'm gonna single Mindframe and move along.
Okay, that was gonna be my next question. You've got to, especially knowing how you construct tickets, got to be a single for you. That makes sense, and I agree with CSJ. Single this source. If you're going to use single, don't go too deep in here unless you want to use like the Too Awesome train, who's going to be like 1,000,000 to 1, or somebody like that. Go completely crazy. But otherwise, yeah, I didn't use. And I used the 2 horses that you named instead. I used Steel Sunshine and Encino.
Yep.
First of all, put some respect on our boy Encino's name.
Yeah.
Winner of the Lexington Stakes, was going to go off to the Kentucky Derby with a strong chance, and then he hurt himself, just like First Mission did for Brad Cox and Godolphin the year before. But this Encino's edge over mine, I wouldn't take Encino off the layoff here. But Encino came back at Fairgrounds, going a mile in the 16th. Yes, just an 86 buyer. Yes, it was just a 4-horse field. And he only won by a length. But he had a dingus riding him, and he's getting a huge upgrade to Luis Saez. But also, he's a horse that can come from off the pace. Like 2 of his 3 races at Turfway Park were coming from off the pace. He was 10th by over 5 lengths behind in his debut effort, missed by a neck. 2 starts later in the Battaglia, he's 6th, beaten 4 lengths behind halfway through the race, comes back to win. He doesn't wow you with his margin of victory, but he's a talented horse, and he loves a good fight. And so I put Encino on the ticket. Seems to have plenty of upside to him. And coming, again, for me, it was the edge of he's got the layoff already accomplished. He'll be second off the layoff now. So that is kind of where I went with him. Top pick, though, was going to be the 7, Steel Sunshine. There is a lot of speed in here. And this is a horse that's 10 starts locally, going a mile. He's won 6 of them. He won this race last year. He's got 3 races under his belt, 3 races back. Yeah, he was a 3-5 favorite against optional claimers, but that race has been sneaky key. He was 3rd in the Harlan's Holiday next start out behind Rocket Can, who is very good, going a mile and 16th at Gulfstream. The 2nd place horse, Golden Glider, he beat Starter Allowance Company next out. Lure Him In, who's in this race, was 3rd that day. He won 2 starts later. And then the 4th horse in that race won a Florida bred stakes next out. So there's been some good horses there, and the buyers have gone up. He tried the Pegasus. You understand why, because outside of the top 3 finishers, there weren't really that many good horses in that race. And yeah, he was beaten almost 10 lengths, but White Abario aired by over 6. He was 3.5 lengths off of second, which was Locked, who is going to the big cap at Santa Anita Park this weekend. So I'm going to use Steel Sunshine in here. He does need the pace to collapse, but luckily he's got a jockey in Paco Lopez that likes to sleep at the wheel early when a race starts off, and then do his usual Paco thing where he forgets he's got a whip and he just shakes the reins at a horse a million times. Then after the horse wins, then decides to whip it and get himself suspended. But yeah, 7-3 for me in this spot. I'm trying to beat Mindframe, and if Mindframe beats me, he beats me.
Yeah, it feels like the only way the 7 wins is if the 1 and the 3 suck. Like, they both have to not show up, because we kind of know what Steel Sunshine's ceiling is, right? And when he won this race last year, he beat Tumbarumba. You're not taking Tumbarumba in this race, right? Like, so to me, it's one of those things where, hey, if you think that like Encino maybe is not as good as we thought last year, and that last race there was some chinks in the armor, although I completely agree with you. I mean, it was just a basic tune-up. The horse didn't really try. And then Mindframe is not going to come back as strong. That's how I get to Steel Sunshine here. I think it was, to me, it was 1 or 3. I just feel like you mentioned it, Encino doesn't need the lead. I don't think Mindframe needs the lead either. I don't love the rail draw if he does decide to tuck back behind some of the speed, but he had came from off the pace multiple times, was able to win. To me, it was hard to get past Mindframe, because it feels like if he runs his A- race here, Encino's going to have to take a pretty big step forward to go get him. And so we'll see if he's able to, but because it really came down to just those 2 horses for me, I decided eating the chalk and singling was the route to go. So interesting race. I think that Mindframe and Encino, there are bigger things down the line for both of them if they are able to run well here. But yeah, for me, you just single Mindframe and move along.
Yeah, CSJ saying it's basically you turn this into a pick 4. Aaron's on the Mindframe train as well, Yeah, could do it. Speaking of the connections for Mindframe, and specifically Todd Pletcher, we are 7 minutes to post for race 8 at Gulfstream, which is going to be a key race because you could see 1 or 2 horses go to the Florida Derby out of this race. Grande, the Pletcher trainee with Velasquez aboard, won his debut at, what was he, 9-1?
Mm-hmm.
He's 3-5 right now and projected to go off at 1-2. Talk about the classic wedding funeral on this horse.
Yeah, I put Grande on top in the race, but now, like, looking at the price, I kind of don't love putting Grande on top in the race. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens here. I mean, but at the prices, I don't know. Maybe the 4 would be the horse I would bet at 10-1. But like, I don't like the 3 as much as you did. I had the 1 in second. He's 5-2. The 3-1 exacta pays or the 5-1 exacta pays $6. I mean, it just, I would probably have to do something around the 4 here if I wanted to bet this race.
I like Aaron's comment. If it'd be fun if Mindframe's got it, and Aaron says if he doesn't have it, we just call him a bastard and move on. I've done that before. Yes, I can confirm Aaron has done that before about Mindframe. 5 minutes to go for race 8 at Gulfstream on Thursday, so we'll move on here to race number 12 at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. It's the Grade 3 Honey Fox Stakes, the shortest race that we will cover on turf. It's a mile race. We've got 12 older fillies and mares on the lawn. Chad Brown's trying to win this for the 4th straight year. And I know we talk about Graham Motion with just 1 win at the championship meet. Chad Brown is, by Chad Brown standards, ice cold as well. See if he can overcome that here as he tries for his 4th straight win, the Honey Fox, with tax implications. But where'd you go?
Great move, though. Rosario off here. So you're getting an upgrade from a jockey perspective. Unlike the other turf race that we discussed, the 10th, this is a just screaming, I'm ready to collapse race with all of the speed that is signed on. This is going to be one of just an absolute scramble to that first turn. I think that is going to probably decide the race, that and the trips you're going to get from the back. That being said, give me the 7 horse, Special Juan, on top here. Brendan Walsh comes off the layoff. Last time we saw this horse was in the First Lady at Keeneland. That race was just like blistering fast. If you look at it, they went 46, then 109 to 6 furlongs, did the mile in 1:33.4. Race prior to that at Kentucky Downs, they Special Juan won with Rosario up, so got past that one, and won going 1:34.4. 2 phenomenal times for mile races. This horse has speed early, but can come from off the pace. It feels like this is the one that can kind of take advantage of whatever happens early, where Special Juan can use some of that early speed, save or get a decent position, most likely 2 wide headed in the first turn, and then be sitting mid-pack versus kind of that deep closer. And when you got 12 and you're going to have, we'll go with at least 4 horses coming back, it's a lot harder to get that trip. And it feels like this is one of those spots where, because of all the pace signed on, you're going to get some horses coming back here. That made it hard for me to put the 1 tax implication on top. I did have him in second, but give me the 7 Special Juan on top here, Magic. Where'd you go on top?
We agree on this one. Yeah. The only time she's never hit the board in 7 starts, it was the First Lady, and a lot of things kind of went wrong for her that day, but also by far the toughest race she'd been in, and tougher than by far than what she's going to face here. She's run well fresh before as well. So all good things for the 7. I didn't put her second. I went 3 deep, and I also did use tax implications here. My notes literally say, thanks, Rosario, because this horse rallied from way too far back in the Grade 1 matriarch. And she finished 4th, and she was a really close 4th, less than 2 lengths behind Gina Romantica, the other Chad Brown trainee, who was making her career finale in that race. Multiple Grade 1 winner. Sacred Wish missed winning the Pegasus Filly Mare Turf by a neck out of that race. Good horses to be finishing behind. My biggest concern is that she's 2 for 12 lifetime with 5 runner-up efforts, 3 of those in stakes. Like, that's great if you're the owner, you're cashing checks and doing well. If you're an exotics player, she's a good key horse underneath. But man, she doesn't like to win, and that's frustrating as hell sometimes. She is 1 for 6 with 3 seconds in turf miles. So that's kind of what gave me the edge to say, okay, I'll put her on here, but I'm not in love with her chances here.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm kind of giving her a pass on some of those, because, like, you look at the Wild Applause where she ran second. That was first off the layoff, lost to Lagira, who got her late. It's a pretty good loss. You look at the Lake George Grade 3, ran second. Surge Capacity beat her that day. That's a pretty good loss. So I'm not. It's all good horses and stakes races you're running second. It's not like. And she also didn't, in my mind, hang in any of those races, which is your other concern. Her running style makes it hard for her to get up every time because she is coming from off the pace. And that to me was the difference between the 7 and the 1 was the running styles. That's why I put the 1 in second. I did use, and I think this is interesting as CSJ mentioned it, I noticed Irad's not on Brown's horses lately. He is on some of them, but he is definitely looking at other barns. And in this case, he's on the 2 See You Around, who I am going to use here, 6-1 for Christophe Clement. Clement also, I mean, he's 12 for 55, but it seems like he is not getting some of these horses that he usually gets home. This is a spot where I See You Around can come from off the pace, likes to sit close to it, but has the ability to come from off it. And this is another one where I think See You Around just sits a perfect trip. I don't think See You Around goes with the early speed because you do have multiple horses that absolutely want to gun it in here. And if that's the case, I think that you're going to sit a ground saving trip around both turns. You pocket up and you decide, okay, when do I want to really send here? So I think See You Around gets the best trip. We'll see if she's good enough in the lane after saving ground.
I kept going back and forth on this horse, and getting Irad back aboard when he won 2 back is a big plus. But I could not forgive her for her effort in the Endeavor as she was chasing a horse that was loose on the lead, but she was second. And then Saffron Moon just came from the clouds and just went right on past her like she was standing still. And would I use Saffron Moon in here? Well, it's Chad Brown, and if Pratt was riding, yes, but not. I looked at that and I was like, what's your excuse for losing that? I didn't really see much of one. And she just, she was within a length and a half of the leader at the top of the stretch and just kind of caved in late and barely held on for second. So I think a great horse to use underneath here just isn't one that I put on the ticket. But she did beat the boys in France last year as a 3-year-old. So she does have some talent for sure.
Yeah, she's on the cutback too. Maybe that mile of 16th a little too long. She did win over this course going a mile of 16th. So, maybe that's not a big thing, but we never saw her go over a mile in Europe. Her debut was at a mile at Aqueduct, and she ran okay, but not a good race. We'll see if she's able to get back to the mile distance, which I think is a better distance for her and sit close to the pace and be able to make a move.
The other horse I went 3 deep. Second choice for me is the 4 Poolside with Slim. I love this. It was so fun as a 3-year-old because she would show up to so many races and, she'd win some. She won 3 of her starts as a 3-year-old, but she just was always there with the chance. And when Frankie Dettori was aboard, he won 2 of those 3 starts. One of them was going a mile in the Valley View. One of them was going a mile in the Penn Oaks, which was one of my favorite finishes to a race, at least in the first half of 2024. Such a fun finish there. Can't believe that Poolside with Slim got up for the win. Her best races are kind of sitting a stalking trip, and I think she's going to get that. And I think the fact that Dettori's riding for her 4-year-old debut was a great sign. Her buyers, if you look at her buyers to end 2024, 88, 88, 90. Like she was trending up, and now first time out as a 4-year-old, if she improves off of those, she's right there with every top contender here. I think like a 94, 95 is what wins this. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for her to hit that.
I agree with you. The 4 was my my 4th horse on here. So I was 1, 2, 4, 7. Likes the course and likes the distance. And to me, those are two things that you can kind of check off. She's not run over the Gulfstream Park turf course, but she did train over it back in the day. And she ran well in the synthetic here. And we always talk about like horses that go gates wire in the synthetic usually means they can hold up on the turf. They're able to get the extra distance. We saw her transition over the turf, run very well. It's funny because like Poolside with Slim ran in some of my favorite races. The Florida Oaks race where Wasiku won and Style Points were in second. That was one of my favorite races from early in the season. And then she ends up at Keeneland getting the win there. And the Penn Mile obviously was a phenomenal win for Poolside with Slim too. So this is another one I want to use. Again, should sit a good trip. In the Miss Revere was 10 of 11 posts, draws much better today, drawing out of the 4 posts, should be able to again sit that close trip right around where the 2 is, maybe a little bit further behind, and then make a kick on a course that you'd assume Poolside with Slim is going to be able to get.
And here we go. 8th race loading up at Gulfstream on Thursday. So we're going to take a quick pause here. If you're listening to this on replay, you know what already happened, but about ready to go. I'm going to stick with the 4 solid left at 7-1. And who would you bet with these odds?
I would bet the 4 if I was going to bet the race. I would probably play a 5 with 1-4, 1-4 try. But yeah, the 4 would be the win bet at this price. We'll see what happens here. I was 5-1-4 originally in the race.
I'm sorry, I meant the 3. I was 3-4, so I meant the 3. I'm sorry. I knew you liked the 4. The 5 Grande went off at even money, was 2-5, 3-5 at different points. and got hung 3 wide going into that first turn.
Yeah, Jimmy's Dailies gets the lead from the rail. Doesn't have to work too hard, too. Basically 23 and 4, almost 24 flat, 22.93 to open the first quarter of a mile, and light pressure now from Grande, who's just kind of sitting on the outside waiting. We'll see if this is one of those just monster pletchers, because I assume if Grande runs big here, he's headed to the Florida Derby. If Jimmy's Dailies runs big here, he's probably headed to the Florida Derby. Same with Solid Left. Super Times, do you think he goes if he runs big?
Yeah, I think any of these horses do. I don't if Grande was the monster pletcher, he's owned by Rapoli. Like, how did he go off at 9-1 in his debut?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
fair.
I was like, he just wasn't bet at all.
Grande taking the lead top of the stretch here, but
he's not kicking on.
Well, he hasn't been.
He's got a wide
either.
trip.
Yeah, Super Times is wide. Yeah, this 50-1-7 actually looks like he's in a pretty good spot. 4 backing up a little bit. The 2 Sonic Skipperdoodle backed out of it. The 8 is there. Grande takes the lead once he gets past, and he is gone. Looks like the 1 is probably going to run second and get the 4 up for third, maybe. We'll see here. Looks like the 7 actually at 50-1 going to hold on for third. So Grande definitely onto the Florida Derby. I wouldn't be shocked if Jimmy's Dailies is onto the Florida Derby off of this. Ends up 3 lengths behind Grande. Didn't quit. It looked like those were clearly the 2 best horses.
5-1-7-3. There you go. Yeah, it was good race from Grande. We'll see how that buyer comes back. What was the final time? 150 and 2.
Yeah, they slowed down once they got into the stretch.
Yeah.
So
he also wasn't asking him for. He was keeping Johnny V kept him to task, but he really didn't. He showed him the stick. Did he ever actually strike him? I don't think he did.
He didn't go to the bottom. We'll say that there was some gas left in the tank there.
Yeah.
And he was chilly around that far turn too, so he could have gone faster if he needed to.
Yeah. Aaron says top 2 go as well to Florida Derby. All right. Well, I'm glad we stopped and watched that. And if you cashed in on Grande, you had to eat a big chalky price there, but you cashed a winner. Really, in the end, that's all that matters. Speaking of horses that might go to the Florida Derby, let's move on to race 13 Saturday at Gulfstream Park, the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth Stakes, amount of 16th for 7 3-year-olds, because we just saw the 5 Solid Left running in that race. The 4 McKellen scratched out of that race to run here. The way that Grande won, maybe that was the right decision for trainer Jose D'Angelo. But Kentucky Derby points on the line, 50 to the winner. Where'd you go on top?
I don't like this race at all. I'm going to start out with that caveat. Like, I'm not a big River Thames guy heading in here at 2-1. The price is a little too short for what he's doing. I like Burnham Square, but at 5-2 against Better, like, it's hard for me to get right back on that train after we both liked him last time out. I went with Sovereignty on top here at 3-1. It is a dubious situation when you trust Mott 2-year-olds that were awesome that come back as 3-year-olds in their first start. But here I am falling for it yet again. So Sovereignty on top for me here, 3-1. He should get a very good trip here. He showed speed 2 back. He was off the pace a little bit more in the street sense, but absolutely dominated that race. He looked awesome. Tistastic and Sandman both in that spot. We saw them over the weekend, both of them running in major preps. Sandman been one of those hot horses, if you will. Like, yeah, I'm with you. One of those hot horses for people, if you will, that has not lived up to his he's kind of lived up to his Tappet namesake, if you will, but not lived up to the potential that people believe he has. If Sovereignty can improve off of that street sense, I think he's really tough here. And I think that the likelihood that he improves is decently high. Mott coming back with 2 preps before the Derby in that 3 race into the Derby style means that he thinks this horse is that good. So I'll agree with Mott here. I'll take the highest price of the 3 horses that are most likely to win. I'll go with the 2 Sovereignty at 3-1 on top.
Pass for me. I think that this horse benefited from pace collapses in those last 2 starts as a 2-year-old. I can't stand Sandman. Let me back up. I can't stand how much I was forced to talk about that horse and rewatch the start of the Southwest Stakes every day leading up to the Rebel Stakes at Oaklawn. Being on there, it drove me insane, and it was to the point where, like, if it wasn't going to cost me my job staying on air, I was going to just say on air, if you want to bet Sandman in the Rebel, I will take all the money you want to play on him, because he will be way over bet and he will not run back well. He's the classic Tappet where he's got talent and he is a doofus to the max. That horse makes his own trouble like crazy. Sovereignty's winning the street sense was visually very impressive going last to first, but he ran 25 seconds in the final furlong. It wasn't fast. Everybody else went and he just, was keeping on going. And you mentioned start things off. How often does Mott bring one of these horses that was so highly touted as lots of hype at the end of his 2-year-old campaign, brings him back at this 3-year-old at Gulfstream Park, and they just don't fire. They don't step forward. So pass for me. If he beats me, I'll end up eating my words here. But I did go with River Thames on top, the only horse with multiple 90 plus buyers in the field. He's had 2 starts. They've both been that way. I know points wise, it regressed from 94 to 92 when he went from 6 furlongs to a mile, but I thought it was a better race overall because he had to break from the rail. Velasquez put him into the race right away, whereas he was going 6 furlongs, he's able to stalk and pounce. I think the stalk and pounce trip is what he's going to get here. He won't be too far back, but he will be closer up. I'm going to want the speed in this race. A horse that's at least going to be engaged a little bit early on and be able to capitalize. And with it being a mile and a 16th race at Gulfstream, the finish line's a 16th pole. So you have a short stretch at Gulfstream to deal with. So I'll take it here. It wasn't an absolute love. I did go 3 deep in the race, just like you did. We both used Burnham Square. I have him third, but it's so hard to ignore that he's 2 for 2 over course and distance. He's 2 for 2 with Zayas. He's 2 for 2 with blinkers. Like everything he's done at Gulfstream has been really, really solid. So I used it. My biggest pause with Burnham Square, and I'll toss it back to you, is I don't think that he really beat that much in the Grade 3 Holy Bull. None of those horses have run back yet, so you can't say that for sure. But talent-wise, I'm like, maybe the runner-up Tappan Street is good. Everybody else is, I wouldn't touch them in this race, and I wouldn't use Tappan Street in this race either. So he's a hesitant use, but from what I've seen so far, I can't ignore it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, I hate how I played this race. I used the 2, 3, and 6. They're the 3 shortest prices. I basically saw this as buying the race without having to use the all button. And I don't generally do this. Like we talk about all the time. If I'm going to use the favorite, I'm almost never using the second choice as the other horse in a pick 4, pick 5 sequence. I don't think anyone else can win. I mean, maybe you can make a case for the 1 gate to wire. But I also can't really separate the 2, 3, and 6. If I did make a pick, it would be the 2 on top. If I wanted to shorten this race, I would just go and single the 2, but I don't really want to do that either. River Thames, you're right, regressed in the second race, but he also didn't really try down the stretch. So I don't think that is like a buyer race that you look at and you go, oh, well, because of the buyer, gotta play him. I can't play him because he regressed. No, that to me seems kind of silly from that front as well. So I don't trust River Thames. What price do you think River Thames goes off at? It's not 2 to 1.
No, I would say probably 7 to 5, maybe 8 to 5. I think Sovereignty is going to get a lot of attention, and Burnham Square will take some. I think it goes River Thames, Sovereignty, Burnham Square in order of the final odds.
Yeah, I think River Thames is like 6 to 5, even money. Okay. Right around there, maybe even a little shorter. I just don't think Burnham Square. I think a lot of people are going to see what you saw, not give him full credit for that last race, which honestly I kind of agree with. This is a much harder field. But would we be shocked, just throwing this out there, be shocked if this field ended up sucking?
No.
Let's say the River Thames isn't as good as we think, and Sovereignty doesn't come back in the way that we think he can. A gate to wire, your clear 4th choice, had never run on dirt prior to his last start. This may be a bad field, and that's the other part of this where I'm like, I don't know, man. Yeah, like I said, I feel like it's Sovereignty, Burnham Square, River Thames. I wouldn't be shocked if any of them win the race. I think that the price wise, Sovereignty is the play because I do think he is the price in here. I think Burnham Square floats up too. I think this is going to be a lot of River Thames money.
Where is it? Ed Burke? Yes, not Dale Romans fans, but I'm with you. My second choice in this race is the 8, Keep It Easy. I think this horse is very live for Dale Romans. So the debut race at Churchill Downs went 5.5. Whatever. It's a debut race. You can be forgiving of that effort. Second time out at Churchill Downs, gets a really nice win by 4 lengths. Go to the Saratoga Special. The trip notes say stumbled badly at the start. Watch the head-on replay. The horse goes to his knees and sideways. He almost rolls over out of the gate. bumps into the 8-horse in there. And almost that 8-horse almost goes over the top of him. Junior Alvarado somehow manages to stay in the saddle. But at that point, Alvarado's probably just thankful that they're not both dead on the track and just kind of eases him out and lets him run. Out of that, they decided we're going to give him time off, go to the Ed Brown Stakes at Churchill Downs on Future Stars night. He wins that by 5 1/4 lengths. He destroys that field. And then out of that, they say, we're going to prep. We're going to wait for Gulfstream Park, either Holy Bull or Fountain of Youth. They wait for the Fountain of Youth. But yes, he's got to tackle 2 turns. He hasn't done it for the first time. But hard spun, tremendous stats with horses routing. It's the Dam Sire, English Channel. Oh, absolutely distance pedigree there as well. I think this horse is bred top and bottom to go 2 turns. And if this race the quote unquote stars, the short prices here aren't who we think they are, I absolutely think Keep It Easy can win, and he can make a lot of people look silly for not playing him. And don't forget, Dale Romans won this race with promises fulfilled, beating Good Magic. I will never forget that, because when Good Magic lost his real debut in there, my heart was almost like broke in half, because I couldn't believe it. I was like, but that's the horse I love so much. And then Good Magic, should have won the Derby, because the cheating horse got let in and won the Triple Crown that year. But anyways, Keep It Easy for me. I did put him on here at 8-1. I'm with you, Ed. I think he's live.
Yeah, I mean, if they all suck, he's live, right? Which they totally could.
They could all suck.
They totally good. So, but I have the concerns around Landry. I have concerns around Romans. I have concerns around 2 turns. Like if this horse was 20-1, I think I'd be a lot more interested. I don't think it's going to float up to that high. I don't know where this horse is going to sit. Like, is he a pace play? Is he going to go with the 7? Are we going to get in trouble in the first turn and get hung wide because it's mile 16th at Gulfstream? There's too many question marks for me at 8-1. If this horse ends up on the board at 20-25-1, okay, like totally interested. But at 8-1, it's a little short for me.
I think he might float up. I mean, we're talking about money coming in further on River Thames, so somebody's odds are going to have to go up. I think it could very well be Keep It Easy. He's got to answer the 2-turn question, and I think a lot of people will get scared off by that.
I can't see the trip. That to me is one of the biggest issues. Like I don't see what trip he gets. Does he come? What do you where do you think Keep It Easy is around the first turn?
I think he's like 4th or 5th. I think but not out of it. Like Sovereignty is going to be, still exiting the starting gate when a lot of these horses are rounding the first turn kind of thing.
I think he is 2nd or 3rd and 2 or 3 wide.
Yeah.
And that's my concern, is that like going 2 turns for the first time. I think he's coming out of sprints. You got to expect he's going to be one of the faster horses early. The 7 has speed to his inside. McKellen has speed in the 4. There's a real world where he's 3 wide going to the first turn and it's just game over.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm going to go back to it, though. What you said, if they all suck, he could win. There's a good chance these horses all suck.
And honestly, like so could Gate to Wire, who we haven't talked about yet, who's the other horse that's under 10-1. I think we kind of agreed the 4, the 5, and the 7, very little chance of winning this race.
Yeah, especially not the 5 because you raced today.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. So we'll say he's out. The 1, Gate to Wire, ran in the swale last time, going 7 furlongs. It was his first time trying dirt after 3 turf efforts and then a synthetic effort. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he won. I think it would say that this race isn't good if he wins. But yeah, I again, 6-1 is just way too short in my mind for that horse.
It's just because of that 93 buyer for winning the swale, which go back and look at those horses and tell me you want any of them.
Well, that's the thing. And the favorite didn't show up, and the favorite was super short priced. And like there were 2 favorites. It was like a 5-horse field, 6-horse field. I mean, it was just an absolute mess. So it's another one where it's like, okay, Gate to Wire. All right. Nope. Not going to do it. Not going to do it.
Chris says, if you like Mind Frame and another horse in different race, you could absolutely hit the L button. It's going to be the shortest field, right? Pre day of scratches. It'll just be 7 runners.
Yep.
And chuck out the 7, who is breeding on the damn side, says sprint, sprint, sprint. Chuck out the 4, because why would you use the 4? So now you're looking at 5 horses and suddenly it gets a lot cheaper. So
yeah, the only problem is your 5 horses are the 5 shortest prices, right? Like if I like, I don't know. I may end up just playing this thing as like a $5 ticket and going 1-2 in the first, singling My Frame, singling Sovereignty, and then spreading in the other 2 legs and just hope that I am very right instead of just sort of right, but we'll see.
Well, I went price hunting in the 5th and final race at Gulfstream on Saturday. Let's see if you did too. It's the Grade 2 Mac Diarmida Stakes presented by FanDuel TV. Going a mile and 3/8, 12 older horses entered for this 3-turn event. And Doc's not here because Doc's out curing cancer. His favorite horse in the world, Grand Sonata, is your 7-2 favorite. No, thank you for me. Where'd you go on top?
I used Grand Sonata, but I did not put Grand Sonata on the top. I do think you can go price hunting a little bit in here. Maybe I won't use Grand Sonata. I was like on the edge. I'll make a game time decision here. Horse on top for me, the 5-horse cash equity, 5-1. Saffie Joseph Jr., Edgar Zayas. Okay. The William L. McKnight cash equity broke from the 11 post, and your eventual winner, Dashman, broke from the 12 post. Dashman won the race. I could not play Dashman ever off of that race, especially considering the horse was 20-1 and now is 6-1 with the same post position. However, cash equity gets a significantly better post position today, should get a significantly beter trip because of that post position. I still think there is speed to chase. I think cash equity can come from off the pace. We know he likes the course after that run. The difference in the post makes all the difference in the world to me. And you've seen consistency out of cash equity where he's run similar races to what we saw in the William L. McKnight. So I'm going to go with the 5 cash equity, 5-1 on top.
So I went 5 deep. You went 4 deep. Somehow this is the only horse we agreed on. It's cash equity. Loses Irad, which stinks, but he's going to go ride a Grand Sonata for Pletcher. And you get Zayas. It was Saffie's go-to guy. But this is the horse I mentioned when we were doing the very one at the beginning of this sequence. Some horses, when they get that third turn, suddenly improve drastically. He's who I was referencing here. So yeah, I'm with you. Didn't put him on top. I did go with the 8th Segoy. Why? Well, as Ed Burke says, Mike Maker wins this race a lot. He's won this race 5 of the last 6 years. That's his 5 wins are the most by any trainer in this race's history. Oh, and we give Frankie Dettori to ride. That's pretty awesome. Prepare this with a win at Sam Houston going 1.5 miles. Was it a big win? No. But since Maker claimed this horse for $50,000, let me say that again. Maker claimed this horse for $50,000 last April. It's been 10 months. This horse has 2 wins, second by a half length, and 4 starts, going either 11 or 12 furlongs. This horse is so much better suddenly going 3 turns, which is the classic Mike Maker claim. He did that with Zulu Alpha, who won this race 2 years in a row. It's what Maker does is he gets those horses, stretches them out really long on turf, and suddenly, boom, they're making him 6 figures a year easily. So Segoy at 6-1, the 8 horse, my top play.
I got class issues with Segoy. Has not beaten much. And I if a tree falls in the forest, does anyone hear it? If you win a stakes race at Sam Houston, does anyone notice? Like it's so sad how much Sam Houston has fallen because of this Texas crap and we can't bet on it. That used to be one of my favorite days, those Texas days, and now can't even. Sam
Houston Fridays were your favorites. That's true.
Oh, we had so much fun on those Friday nights being able to just bet Sam Houston live. We crushed those days. The 8 Segoy, I just couldn't get there. Like I get it, but you go back and you look at the graded company. Yes, we won the Churchill and the Louisville, the grade 3. You look at the Arlington Million, where he's clearly overmatched, ends up running 5th in that race out of 6. The Sycamore comes back, runs 5th in that race as well. And he's going to want to be forwardly placed. And I think the 2 causes a big problem in here for Segoy. Prevent will not matter at all when this race ends, but he will matter a lot when the race starts because he is going to absolutely run off with the lead. And I'm afraid that Segoy is going to be the horse that it's Catch the Flag and Segoy, who I think are the 2 forwardly placed horses with him. And I think that makes it very hard for Segoy specifically because we've not seen him be able to sit 5th or 6th and then be able to make a move. Every time that he wins, he's usually sitting closer to the pace. And with Prevent in here, I think that makes a problem. If Prevent scratches, I think that Segoy all of a sudden has an opportunity to be able to win the race. But we'll have to see what happens there on the day of. Second pick for me here, missed the cut right to the inside. If you watch the show, you're not shocked. Cherie DeVoe gets this horse 9-2 on the morning line here, and Gaffleon picks up the mount. This horse ran at Ascot last time, shipped over there for Sadler, did not run a lick, had been running in California. Pretty much half of the races this horse ran in California beat this field. I'm not sure if like we're gonna get right to the top tier of it, but you don't need the best version of Miss the Cut if we're able to run back to the Santa Anita form. The one big issue here is Sharita Vo. The one thing she's not that good at is actually first time as a trainer, just 9%, and she's a 15% trainer. So that's the one issue there. But this is a spot where you're getting Gaffley on a board. Kind of surprised it's not an Ortiz brother, but with Irad on Grand Sonata, it's not that shocking there. I think the form in California was good enough with what she was facing to come over here and face this group. So I'll put Miss the Cut there as my second pick.
I left this horse off, but DeVoe, just two things she's not percentage-wise good at. First time with trainer and first-time starters. But once she gets a race into them, then suddenly they take a step forward. Yeah, the horse went to Ascot, and I don't know if you could say race because I think the horse just kind of appeared, but never got out of ninth, the last in that race. Long layoff, but has had plenty of time to kind of recover and regroup from there. Those turf races in California, good, but will they transfer over? Actually, you know what? It's the Keeneland race, the Elkhorn, where you just missed to Silver Knot. That's the race where you're like, this horse can take the game outside of California and do pretty well. Not going to be for me. If Sharita Vo beats me, it's nobody's fault but my own, right? Chris asks, is Jose in Florida? No, he's at Santa Anita because Locked is going to the Big Cap. So that's where he's going to be at. Top pick for me, I said, was Segoy. I had Cash Equity second. I put the moment Anglophile third.
Oh, I was wondering if anyone was going to use Rosario here.
This is the only time in between the two of us, 5 races, 1 Rosario use. You get 1. Maybe this is the one to do it on. Anglophile's 8-1. Scratch off the McKnight. The horse was coming off of a 4.5-month layoff. Never really ran a lick in that spot. He missed winning this race last year by a half length. He can consistently post mid-90s buyers, which is good enough against virtually every single horse in this race. Matches up well anyway. And it's a horse that comes from off the pace. You don't have to trust Rosario to do anything other than take the horse back, save some ground, make a big run at the top of the stretch. So I'm using Anglophile on here. I think that he's run well in this race. He's run well at this distance. So Anglophile with Rosario makes the ticket.
If it wasn't Rosario, I'd be much more interested in this horse. But you were saying that Joel Rosario in a 3-turn race on a closer isn't going to get himself in any trouble.
I didn't say that. I said he's going to take the horse back, save ground, and make a run.
Yeah.
This horse was good enough to beat Far Bridge a couple of years ago. Okay, this horse has got talent, and he hasn't had, at least by what I can see, he's never had Rosario aboard before, so he could do it. I
don't disagree with you, the talent, and if it like honestly, if there's one style that you want with Rosario, is the just like drop dead back, because then because if he's like a speed horse or a mid pack horse, Rosario's just going to take him to the back anyway. So this, at least the style fits the jockey in this spot. I couldn't do it at 8-1. I get why you would, but I couldn't do it at 8-1. I went 2 bombers for my last 2 horses here. So we're going for some crazy prices. I like the 10 Parchment Party. We just talked about Bill Mott coming off the layoff here. 20-1.
Hang on. Parchment Party is in the horse we drafted in the first round of the last year's Triple Crown Fantasy League and never made a single start.
That is correct. I believe that the turf may be the better version. Constitutions can go turf or dirt here, so that's not an issue. So for me, this is you can read Bill Mott sometimes. You can read his idea, what he's thinking, how he's trying to translate to a horse. The fact that Parchment Party ran a 1/16 at Tampa Bay and didn't really try, just kind of ran on in a $32,000 optional allowance, and then we show up here, tells me the whole plan was to show up here the entire time with Parchment Party, that you didn't really care about that Tampa Bay race. You just wanted to get one in on the turf for Parchment Party before coming into this race. He's got some tactical speed if he's able to use it. He's able to come from off the pace. We saw that in the $100,000 optional claimer win that we drafted him off of, where he beat First World War, another wonderful horse of ours. To me, this sets up really well for Parchment Party, and Mott clearly ran him at Tampa just to get him ready for this. So we'll take a shot here, 20-1 with Parchment Party.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm still very much angry at this horse.
I am reading the tea leaves. This is a read the tea leaves 20-1 play. This is not a, well, look at this race and he's definitely good. No, this is Bill Mott's up to something. And when Bill Mott's up to something and you can smell it and you don't really love the race anyway, you go ahead and you play the 20-1 shot.
This does feel like one of those horses like we talked about with Cash Equity. You put him at 3 turns, he might suddenly just explode. 77 buyer for finishing 5th at Tampa on the turf. That was the second lowest buyer of his 6-start career. The only thing lower was his debut maiden win at Churchill. But so he's got leaps and bounds. But because of that 77 buyer, you're going to get what, 35-1, 40-1.
Okay, Bill Mott's a smart trainer, right? Can we agree on that? Pretty good at placing his horses.
Yes.
Off his second career worst buyer, finishing back of half of the field in a crappy allowance at Tampa, and he goes to a grade 2 on the turf where he stretches the horse out. Why would he do that? I mean,
that's fair.
It's because he thinks the horse is going to explode going 3 turns and not hitting the turf going long, and he just wanted to get one in him. So we'll see. But yeah, this is, again, one of those where I'm reading the tea leaves. There's absolutely nothing on paper that backs up the fact that Parchment Party is going to roll in this race. But there's certain trainers, they do certain things. If you get in the price, I'm going to play him.
He didn't look bad in the stretch of that Tampa race. I was just watching it back real quick. He didn't look horrible. Like, he hated the turf. It just, the whole thing was not to his liking. We'll see. We'll see how he does. I still have some issues about the horse, but a lot of that revolves around just us drafting him and him never showing up. I did put the 12 Dashman on the ticket here. I know 20-1, 19-1 last out when he won, and he's now 6-1. But a couple things going for him. He won from post 12 off of a 2-month break and going a mile and a half. Now he's going a mile and 3/8 from post 12. So he can handle the poor draw. He'll be second off the bench. You could absolutely see him improve. Second start as a 4-year-old from that 99 buyer, which a 99 buyer absolutely wins this race. He can move up from that. And also, I love imagining Chris Mello sitting there drunk on gin and tonics in Arizona and just screaming at me because I'm looking at the chat. Major jockey upgrade to Saya as he gets off of Flo. If Flo could carry this horse at 19-1, imagine what an actually talented jockey like Luis Saez can do, Chris. Yeah, I'll defend it. Okay, so for the audio listeners, Chris says, Magic craps on Flo, proceeds to bet Rosario and Dettori. Defend yourself. Rosario, Hall of Fame jockey, Eclipse Award-winning jockey. Frankie Dettori, considered the greatest jockey in the world in the last 20 years. He has 16 Breeders' Cup wins. Florent Giroux has got unbelievable blackmail on Brad Cox to be able to let him ride horses like Gunrunner, Idiomatic, and Monomoy Girl that can carry him to wins.
Can we get ROI just on a jockey right now? Can you pull that up? Is that something we can pull up on?
I don't think formulators. That's what formulator's missing is we can't do jockey. You can do jockey stats for a trainer, but not jockey stats standalone.
Yeah, because I wanted to see, because Rosario, who is a Hall of Fame jockey, if you just judged him on the last year, he's a journeyman, right? Like that's kind of where we'd fall from the Hall of Fame graces. Yeah, I wish we could kind of really focus in on the jockey piece of it, but no, we can't. I can't use Dashman. I said it last time. The boast is way too wide for me. The price is wrong. Like everything had to go perfectly well for him, and it did. And that was at a much bigger price. Now you're getting a shorter price. I think he gets bet off that race. Like to me, there's just too many reasons to leave Dashman off the ticket. If he beats me, so be it. I'm fine with that. Give me a price as my last horse, the 3-horse Capture the Flag. Phenomenal game, by the way, to play as a kid. I haven't played that in a long, long time. Pletcher and Velasquez, 15-1 on the morning line. This is the other horse I think is going to be involved in the pace. Look, I'm a sucker for when a horse runs very well on the front end over the synthetic course. And yes, they crawled last time, but Capture the Flag did a very good job of holding on over a course that is heavily favored toward horses coming from off the pace. No issue here for me with the distance. Quality Road, Warfront on the bottom shouldn't be a problem. We've seen this horse run very well on turf before, so the turf not an issue here. This is if Capture the Flag can get the trip and a couple others don't who are coming from off the pace, I think he is good enough to win here. So I'll put the 3 Capture the Flag 15-1 on top.
Second as the favorite last time out, going a mile and a half on synthetic. When he's going a mile and a half, to me says it. I don't think he's going to handle the 3 turns. I do think he's going to be part of the pace as well. I think it's going to be the 2, the 3, the definitely go. And I think that I'm hoping it forces Segoy to kind of sit back in a slightly stalking position, probably third or fourth.
See, I think Segoy is
early on.
faster. I think Segoy is faster than the 3. I think that's a big part of where we like. I think it's 2 and
He
Segoy
might be with the
pressing.
poster so far apart.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe. Yeah, I kind of feel like the 3 gets the rail behind the 2, and the 8's pressing on the outside. But we'll see how it actually plays out.
But anyway, you're going to get a big price down. I'm not going to try to talk you off that runner. Last one for me. Mike Maker's won this race 5 of the last 6 years.
You've mentioned that.
2 in here. He's got 2 in here. I'm going to use the other one in here. The last horse on the ticket for me is the 11 Cathkin Peak at 8-1. Now, this is an odd horse in the sense of if you look before he got claimed in June by Mike Maker, every race he was coming from out of it to get first or second. He was always an off the pace runner. And then Maker gets him, stretches him out super long, and suddenly the horse is like going way too fast. I mean, it worked in the John's Call, which was restricted to non-stakes winners, but he was up by 6.5 lengths halfway through the race. That's ridiculous. The fact that he actually held on to win by 5 is, I think, the most impressive part of that run that he had. But it's almost like he was being used as a rabbit in the Turf Cup, the Sycamore, 1.5 races in Kentucky that Maker's throwing horses at. And he was going to the lead and fading and quitting. But he's going to be in post 11. And I said it before, Paco Lopez only tries as hard as Paco Lopez ever wants to. Watch him on a regular, like daily basis at Parks and Gulfstream. He only gives an effort if he thinks he's got a chance. And he's going to look at this and go, I'm not going to win gate to wire from post 11 in this race, and I'm not going to be used as a sacrificial lamb. So he's going to look further back and go, this horse is won from off the pace with mid-90s buyers. He's going to take back, settle, and make a big run because he's also riding a Mike Maker horse going 3 turns. So it's just, like I said, last horse on the ticket for me here, but it's because it's a Maker horse. He runs well in this race with his horses. So I put him on the ticket.
I hope he sends here at Gulfstream. No, he's not going to. He got shut off at the break. They just went off the 9th at Gulfstream. It's a low-level maiden special weight race, or maiden claiming race, and I was hoping he would send. I agree with you. I don't think Cathkin Park sends. So I think that you have the idea right here. I'm not sure that he's good enough, but this would have been the 5th horse on my ticket. Like, this was the next one on for me. It was between Grand Sonata and Cathkin Park. If I'm using the favorite as the 5th horse on, I'm probably not putting 5 on. And so that's kind of why Cathkin Park ended up there. So I don't hate the 11 here. I think he's not without a chance.
Woof. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show covering the Olympic 5 at Gulfstream. That was fun. We even did a little live race watching there and Gulfstream Park race 8. Let's go through our tickets one last time. We'll give them out. The video watchers, take a look below. Audio listeners, will read them out for you. I'm going to start off going 1-8 with 3-7 with 1-4-7 with 3-6-8 with 1-5-8 11-12. $90 for me, Mr. Somich.
I am going to go with a $72 ticket. I'm going to play 1-2-5 with 1 with 1-2-4-7 with 2-3-6 with 3-4-5-10. Cost you $72 for 50 cents.
Coming up some point later today, Blinkers Off will be covering, I'm sure it'll be all 3 Derby preps that they'll cover. You have the San Felipe Stakes at Santa Anita Park, where your eventual Kentucky Derby winner Journalism makes his 3-year-old debut. I don't know that he's good enough to beat Barnes going to mile on the 16th, but mile on the 8th Santa Anita Derby, he wins that. And then, of course, wins the mile and a quarter Kentucky Derby. They have also got the Gotham, which is a race that they're having at Aqueduct, a mile race worth 50 points. Stupid. And of course, they'll talk about Fountain of Youth and some other races as well. So tune into them. Check them out on wherever you get your podcast if you happen to miss it live, or check it out on YouTube as well. I am in the studio Saturday, 8 to 12 Pacific, helping to cover all of the live horse racing when it gets started on the East Coast. How can people watch you this weekend on VSiN?
We'll be on VSiN, YouTube TV, Roku TV, VSiN.com from 10 to 1 Pacific, 1 to 4 Eastern, both Saturday and Sunday, talking about horses on Saturday as well. Aaron Halterman will probably be joining the broadcast. Usually does every week, one of the 2 days. He's on Sunday with us. So we gave out the exacta at Oaklawn. That was nice, 115 to 1 with the one horse. What was it? Something Road. Why can't I think of who won that race? Who won the Rebel? Batten Down. Batten Down?
The
Cole
Rebel?
Road? Yeah, who was it?
Cole Battle.
Cole Battle, there it is. I knew I was close to it. Over Madicap Road. So that was Yeah, I was, 2 names, kind of ambiguous mining type thing. Anyway, yeah, 115 to 1. That was fun with Coal Battle and Madacat Road. Aaron and I both had Madacat Road on top, but unfortunately, horse came in second. Still nice to hit the exacta. And yeah, I'm just kind of rambling. Anyway, we're also on channel 158 over on Sirius XM, so make sure you check that out. Real quick before we go, Cornucopian. Have you seen the numbers back from that win?
Yes.
He is basically Justified 2.0 based on the debut numbers. What do you think of Cornucopian?
Better stay away from the Jimson wheat so we don't have another controversy. That's what I think.
I feels like that.
Phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, he's got to go straight Santa Anita Derby next, right? Timing
or Arkansas Derby. You keep him in Arkansas, or do you bring him back and what do you do with Barnes? You got to figure out the shuffle now, right?
Baffert said he didn't want to ship Barnes again until the Kentucky Derby. That's why he's kept him here. Yeah, man. I don't know. That was pretty damn amazing.
Because you've got a lot of very good Baffert horses that cannot all run against each other and all qualify for the Derby if they do so. So you got to think that we're going to see some movement there.
Must be nice to be Baffert. He's got all these 3-year-olds. He's like, I'm going to have to start racing them against each other at some point.
Yeah.
But okay. Nick says allowance race first, like Justified. But if you remember, Baffert tricked everybody with that because he entered the Sunland Derby on that Sunday and told John White, don't tell anybody I'm entering him in this allowance race, because Baffert knew the race wouldn't fill if everybody suddenly realized they had to run against Justify. That was like he had to do some real wizardry to get that race to even go off.
I don't know if there's enough time to run an allowance race either. Right? I mean, are you going to run them in an allowance late March? And then when are you running the Derby prep, right? First, like, it doesn't really work. You kind of have to run them in a points race next.
Yeah, and Baffert doesn't ship to Louisiana. He doesn't ship to Florida, really.
I mean, Nairo would be the other option.
Yeah, but Aqueduct is such a slow, hard track, even in April. I don't know. But I mean,
it feels like Arkansas Derby to me. That's what I thought right when I saw it. That you ship him there, he likes the track. Madacat Road, I thought, ran really well. Deserves a chance to be in a 2-turn prep race again next time out. But it feels like he doesn't need the points now that you do need from Cornucopian.
Again, must be nice to be Bob Baffert. 6 furlongs straight to the 1 1/8 Arkansas Derby or Santa Anita Derby. Why not? If anybody can do it, Bob can do it. We'll see what. Go ahead.
Madacat Road went 45 and change and held on in that race very well.
That was a very sneaky good. Like, I know the buyer came back with 89 or something.
Yeah, buyer wasn't
that
great.
Only got a 91, but
yeah, Aaron's not way off there either. You could see Preakness there. What was the other? Who was the horse that outworked him in the morning that lost to Barnes last time out?
Rodriguez?
No, 2 times ago for Barnes. Oh, no, I can't remember.
And
he hasn't raced since. He ran second to Barnes in a clear, I'm just going to run second to Barnes, not try race. Let me see if I can find it.
Sensaba?
What was that?
Romanesque,
yeah. Romanesque worked Cornucopian with last time out between the two. And you watch, it's so that's another one where it's we'll see if he comes back ever and if he decides to run as well.
That is the big question mark, right? With Baffert, it's will they survive to keep racing out of that effort? Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. All right.
Paul is on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He's at Somobomb 18, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. Once again, tune into the Blinkers Off podcast later on, or catch it on replay podcast or YouTube. Also, check out the Fountain of Youth Stakes wagering guide. It's available over at racingdudes.com. It has all 14 races at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, plus the Gotham Stakes and the San Felipe Stakes picks and analysis from there. We'll be back next Thursday, I believe, with another show. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike, and I have one more question for you. What do you think the shortest non-Bob Baffert horse is in the Derby?
Oh, man. 5 to 1, 6 to 1.
Wow, I would agree. Right now, the shortest one on the board is East Avenue at 12 to 1. But when they're actually in the gate, they'll probably, yeah, right. Yeah, that's on Bovada. Wonderful number.
Did the folks at Bovada not watch the last race from East Avenue?
Now, right now, it's Barnes 8-1, Citizen Bull 8-1, East Avenue 12, Patch Adams 12, Rated by Merit 16, Burnham Square 20, Coal Battle 20, Cornucopian 20.
Rated by Merit's off the trail. This is the thing about the overseas books. They don't know that Rated by Merit's off the trail. No love for journalism. Okay. All right.
No, journalism is 20-1 too.
Oh, okay.
As is River Tame, Sandman, a bunch of horses at 20 and 25.
Ugh. Sandman. Don't want to talk about that horse ever again, at least until his next Derby prop. Good luck this weekend. We'll see you on next week on Thursday, right? We always say goodbye. Okay, bye-bye again.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.